Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at one hell of a mecha action figure, and this right here is the Metal Build Dragon Scale Guren Type 8 Elements Satan. Now first off, I will mention, shockingly enough, this is a premium Bandai exclusive figure, which is an absolute crime against nature itself. So if you find it hard to get like I did, you will always be able to find it over on Buyee. That's where I got mine, and I will throw a link down there in the description. But anyway, let's take a look at this absolute beauty, winding back first to the unboxing. So once you get the Guren right here out of the box, there's a little bit of assembly to get it to its standard format. So that is the attaching of that massive iconic Guren claw onto the right arm, attaching two slash Harkins up onto the shoulders, as well as this spike also up on the right arm. We do have all the wings and jazz that we can take a look at later, as well as the backpack, but let's just take a look at it as it is without the accessories. So when it comes to the mecha from Code Geass, the Guren was always my favorite. Every time it evolved to a new form, got more armor, more parts, it just got cooler and cooler. Sure, the Lancelot is awesome, but I've always preferred this particular suit right here. Now we're going to be taking a look at it first without the wings and stuff around back, because you still can get a kind of almost standard ground use Guren out of this, except of course with all the bells and whistles of the Type 8. And sadly enough, I do not actually have any of my metal builds unpacked just yet, so I don't have them around for a size comparison, but as far as I can tell right here, it comes in around the usual size of a metal build. For example, something like a Gundam. This is around 17 or 18 centimeters, maybe 6.5 inches, maybe 7 inches. So it is a decently big enough figure. So the only kits or anything I've lying around right now is some high grades, so let's do a bit of a size comparison. So yeah, there's a little bit of a size comparison so you can get an idea of what size it is beside the high-grade Gundam Aerial Rebuild and the high-grade Rubris. So as you can see, it's quite big and in and around master grade-ish size. Once again, all of them packed away at the moment. Now I will mention that, so without its wings even attached yet up on the base, there it is against pretty much the entire line of high-grade Witch from Mercury kits, and this thing is absolutely dwarfing them. It is, well, the price dwarfs them too. But anyway, continuing on. So now jumping into that full 360-degree spin, and the silhouette on this thing is absolutely ridiculous. If you like your mecha spiky and over-the-top looking, you don't get much more spiky and over-the-top looking than Guren right here. This figure does feature the usual Guren asymmetrical design. Its right arm is completely different to the left one. It's got a big claw, it extends, it does all of that good stuff. Probably one of the highlights of this particular design. Besides that though, what Tamashii Nations has done here is incredible. It feels great in the hand, it looks absolutely stupendous. This of course does have actual die-cast metal parts in its frame, so it's nice and heavy, bottom heavy, so it stands up great. And overall, this thing is an eye-catcher, especially once you get those wings and the flight pack onto it. So getting in a little bit closer to take a look at the details on this, and I have noticed something that I've, well, noticed when it comes to designs I really adore mecha-wise. Their torsos always look like a kind of head. This one also features an opening mouth, so it's got green eyes, a big old golden nose, and a mouth. Interesting. But yeah, I could spend all day zooming in and gushing about the details on this particular figure. They are ridiculous. From the actual glint of metal parts coming through from the frame, which actually have detail in them, which is one of the first times I've ever seen anything like that, to the over-the-top arm, which I will talk about in the accessories because there are a bunch for that, to the absolutely perfect, and I mean perfect paintwork. There is nothing out of line whatsoever on this. We've got multiple shades of gold on top of the orange round back. We've got brassy tones, we've got multiple shades to the red. This is an absolute joy just to look at. The green clear segments in the chest into the inner detailings there. This thing is absolutely incredible. And that face I mentioned earlier on, the mouth can open up and there's even detail inside of that. This is outstandingly beautiful. So now jumping into the accessories, and there's so much inside this box, which is usually the case with a metal build figure, that I didn't actually lay it all out or would have taken me all day. This is what the inner packaging looks like with everything inside of it, and for the most part, these are all parts to do with the flight pack and the wings around back, but we do have some alternate arm parts hand parts, and a weapon in here. When it comes to the flight pack, this is simple enough. It just attaches onto the orange section round back. It has a metal peg so it holds in very nice, which is very important considering we're going to have a lot of wingage attached onto this. Anyway, there's what it looks like. Extra goings on around back on this. Now I will mention, you're probably wondering, can you open up the cockpit on this? But whether or not this flight pack is on or off, this figure still looks phenomenal. So first off, we're going to be taking a look at the included hands in here, and when I say included, we do have a hinge for a wrist on it as well, which is always a very nice touch, and it does look pretty cool in a kind of relaxed sort of position. Attaching these hands is super simple. You just pop them off and on their ball joint attachment, and unlike some action figures, these aren't tied out of the box. This worked out perfectly. Each one of these also does have a wrist hinge on them as well, so they can flex and extend like so, which is nice for getting perfect poses. So when it comes to the right arm on the Guren, to me that's always been the crown jewel of the design. It is so savage and awesome. This features everything you'd like to see on this. That's the full extension, which works seamlessly at the elbow. It's kind of just tucked back in a really nice sort of way. We've got some pistons and an extension gimmick at the forearm segment. We do have that blaster segment in the middle of the hand, which is a clear part over some nice sculpted detail underneath. And of course we do have fully articulated fingers as well, which is absolutely spellbinding for such a cool claw. And you can get the most important pose of all, Guren given the hyper mega massive clawed finger. Now that's flipping the bird. Next up in here we've got what the manual refers to as the right arm wide range pack. This is an alternate part for using with that big old right arm, as you would expect from what it said right there in the manual. You just pop off the hand just like so. This comes off easy enough, not too easy by the way, just right. You remove this wrist segment right here, you attach on the one with those extended little segments just like so, pop the hand back on, you've got plenty of articulation to knock the hand back in that flexed sort of way, ready to unleash that radiant wave surger, and this looks absolutely and utterly stunning. That is pretty awesome. Also, the articulation in the hand, that is mesmerizing. So the next of the weapons we have in here are the pair of slash harkins up on the shoulders. That's these bits right here, which can actually be posed in a multitude of ways. First off, to spin these around from the back, they just swing round like this. So they're up here on the shoulder, they just swing to the front just like so. Watch out for those big, gigantic Guren Mimi, or should I say ears. Again, looking just as stunning as the rest of the figure. So that leads us to the next accessory we have in here, which is these three big old wired segments. Two are for using with these slash harkins. To do that, you just remove these off the shoulders like so. These pop off quite easy, maybe a little too easy at times. And then these can open up just by sliding these segments back, just like that. So getting these attached is simple enough. You just pop one end of the wire into the slash harkin, the other end onto the part the slash harkin was attached onto, and this is what it looks like. I will mention these are incredibly long. These are over a foot long. They are strong as hell, so is the joint they attach into, so these will not drop a centimeter at all. And you can actually pose them. They're good and pliable while strong at the same time, so you'll get some nice dynamic flitting through the air poses with these, without a doubt. So you might have remembered that we have 3 of these wires, not 2, so you might be wondering what is the last one for. Well, with this particular version of the Guren, it's actually able to launch its right arm like a slash harkin. So all you have to do is detach the right arm just like so, attach the wire into the forearm like this, attach the other end of the wire onto where it came off on the elbow, and then you've got this. So what's better than a giant claw giving the middle finger? Well, a flying giant claw detached from the body, given a flying detached middle finger. Sadly though, this is not strong enough to hold it up, so it will flop down like this, so you will need to use the included action base, which we might as well talk about now. The stand in here is absolutely gorgeous. It is in a gloss color, so I recommend not touching it with your bare hands, because that does mean you will get fingerprints all over it like mine. We also have a nice Code Geass design right here, as well as the actual design of the Geass over on the right hand side. This attaches together in the normal sort of action base style kind of way. It's got a whole bunch of moving parts so you can raise, lower it, change the angle and everything like that. And we've got some support arms in here as well for supporting the arm. In order to attach the Guren itself onto the action base, we've got a little bit of a segment under the flight unit you just pop out like so. And we've got an adapter for attaching onto the flight unit that attaches up inside of that. So now taking a look at some more of the onboard equipment. If you pop this little segment around here, around on the very, very back, what you get inside is the Gefion launcher. This doesn't actually do anything, but it is all colored up real nice inside of it and looks great. If that was not cool enough, one of the most awesome aspects I always felt with the Code Geass mecha is the fact that they had a bunch of wheels round back for going fast on the ground, and the Guren Type 8 right here is no different. Just extend the legs like so, and then you can drop down the wheels from behind. You'd almost not realize that they're there. This is such a good design, and the detail on these is phenomenal. I'll also mention that the wheels do spin, which always makes me very, very happy. As for actual holdable weapons, we do have one in here, which is the MSV Fork Knife. Once again, just as beautiful as the actual mecha itself. This part can open up just like so. Getting it attached into the hand is simple enough. This goes in reverse grip just like so. The fingers are that kind of rubbery type, so you have to kind of squeeze it on in there. Can be a little difficult at first, just pull the fingers out of the way, you'll get it in, and that right there is what it looks like once it's attached. A simple enough weapon compared to everything we've seen so far, but just as beautiful as the rest of the figure. So lastly then is really what is essentially the main event inside of that box, and that is the wingspan. So we do have the two wing units in here. They comprise of an arm like so with a lot of nice articulation. We've got two of those energy wing segments in an eye-wateringly beautiful shade of pink. And to attach it all together, you just clip those energy segments onto the wings like so, and they hold on perfectly. In order to attach them onto Guren itself, you just remove the lower wing segments from the flight unit and you just pop these on. These do have a metal attachment which feels really good. They do attach into a plastic part which feels a little bit on the weak side. So we'll mention when you are actually getting this into some kind of a pose, you will need this up on the action base with the support arms holding up the wings, just really to support it. It can hold them up, but it may flop if you're turning it around or moving it around, etc, etc. And also be careful with the action base adapter because it can pop off while you're posing it. The individual wings right here have a whole lot going on when it comes to articulation. We've got these kind of joints which are almost ratcheted together right here, cogged together so they move like that. So when you do actually lift up the wing, it all moves seamlessly. That is very, very nice, including this little segment here in the center. That does move up and down when they bend. Then we do have hinges for both segments, so you can drop down the wing just like so, getting that angle right there, and you can drop down the wing just like so at that, and conversely you can go the complete opposite direction with both of those. So these are extremely expressive. When you want to access this joint right here, that's the one that attaches into the body, well, you can't actually just lift that up and down. There is a little bit of a gimmick here. So you actually press down on this little segment here, which will bring out this little bit. That allows you to actually move this joint up or down, then re-lock it into position like so. So this doesn't move seamlessly. You have to unlock, move, then lock. But that is very, very handy, and make sure these don't move too much up and down at that point. So when it comes to the articulation on the metal build dragon scale Guren right here, this thing is absolutely ridiculous and a joy to pose. It's rock solid and so awesome. Now if I was to go through every single joint individually on this kit, that would be a whole video in itself. This thing just poses up a storm. There's nothing really I can say negative about it at all. Everything is positive. There's so much joints to every single aspect of this figure that you will get whatever pose that you want whenever you want it. The only thing that's mildly limited is the ab crunch. You've got plenty of ab crunch going on in there. It's just the lower joint tends to drop a little bit on me, a little bit, like not a lot, but it will fall out of the pose either forward or back depending on which way it is heavy. There isn't much side to side here either, but what you get stability wise is totally worth it. So yeah, whatever pose you want, you will fully pull off. This is also super bottom heavy, so it can even stand up no bother with the wings attached. This thing right here is an absolute centerpiece. This, if you're a Code Geass fan, you've got the cash to grab this thing, you should treat yourself. It is fantastic. Again, I'll throw a link down there in the description if you do want one of your own. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more mecha reviews, and I'll see you next time.